Hey everybody, I'm here with Doug Tompos from the movie Coming of Age, which is, I think, at the root of it about negotiating a relationship in the age of Grindr. I just wanted to welcome you to GaysAroundTheWorld.com and to thank you for taking the time to talk to us about your project. I saw it at the sort of the LGBT screening at the American Pavilion here, and I thought to myself, wow, this guy directed this short film, he acted in it and wrote it, and did you also produce it as well?
I'm one of the producers, yeah.
Oh, okay, great. And I was like, oh, I have to get a chance to talk to him about it because I feel like it's so relevant in this day and age. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about your short film and sort of what the story is about?
Yeah, I mean, it really, the impetus for this was, there's these films that are out now, like Call Me By Your Name and Love, Simon, which are wonderful. These stories of young gay men, like having their first heartbreak that leads to the loss of innocence and kind of growing up. And as I've gotten older as a gay man, I realized, wow, we are constantly coming of age. Like each decade of our life, each new experience, there is continually this loss of innocence and this need to grow, and it's uncomfortable. And like my character Paul in the film says, it talks about being a dinosaur, feeling like, wow, if I don't grow, I'm going to be extinct. Like there's, and I think that's life. We need to embrace the fact that that's how we stay alive, is to keep growing and being challenged and getting uncomfortable. So it's kind of a flip of a traditional coming of age, because it's really the older person who has to kind of grow up in a sense.
Yeah. And so as the story goes, it's two guys sort of just after sex. And the conversation is about, are we going to get serious, or are we going to just stay as hookup buddies, right?
Right.
And it discusses, like, are you going to continue to use Grindr, right?
Yeah. And
or any dating app, sex-based.
Yeah, because one guy has a very traditional view of, like, we fought for marriage, so I'm looking for a monogamous, committed relationship. And the other one equally says, well, no, that doesn't work for me. And I think that's a challenge right now in the whole dating world, that we now have the freedom, there's no rules, so you can make your own rules, and everybody has their own little set of rules, but are your rules going to match my rules? Yeah. And so these two guys can be, I wanted it to be very balanced. I'm not taking sides on either position. I just wanted to say, look, these guys can be completely own their own moral, ethic, whatever kind of code, but they're not necessarily going to match.
So as a writer, you were able to basically, discover both sides of that coin in those characters. And I really enjoyed that because it was well written, that you could understand the point of view of the younger guy. Saying, like, look, I just want to hook up with people. I see a difference between love and sex. There's a disconnect for me. And you're saying, well, for me, it's even better if there's a connection.
Intimacy, yeah. I really had to kind of, when I was thinking about the film and writing it, I did talk to people of different generations. I was really fascinated to kind of hear, because I had been in a long-term relationship, and when I wrote it, I was still in that relationship. I had not been on Scruff or Grindr. I was kind of scared of it. I was like, I don't know about this, I don't have to be on it.
And a lot of people are going through that, actually, right now.
And so I was like,
a lot of people.
I don't know what that world is. So I started asking people, what's your experience? Like, no judgment, I'm just curious stories that you tell and stuff like that. But there was a young man, like there's a point in the story where Chris, the younger guy, he says, look, this is what I'd like, Octagon is pretty amazing, but he says, this is what my fantasy would be, this is what I'd like, to see some guy hit on you in the bar and you light up, and I like seeing you go through that thing that I saw the first time I met you, and you could go off with that person, and then I trust you to come back. And that was actually a young man in his 20s who I talked to, and he was in a committed relationship, but it was open, and so I was like, well, what is that like? Like that's hard for me. I don't know that I could do that. I'm not jealous necessarily. It's just I don't know. And he was like, and he described that, and so I use it in the film.
Wow.
Slightly
Yeah,
different, but I had to talk to a lot of people and really say, I don't want to judge either one of these guys. I want to really embrace that truth.
Yeah.
And I had to come to admire the fact that I sometimes wish I could be like that,
Do you think that this is a thought process that's common in millennials?
I don't know. I know that I have talked to other younger gay men who say, yeah, our community, like my age group, we're so divided. Like it's not gray, it's like black and white. Monogamy or not. and he says, we're in bars, we're getting together, we're all discussing this. And I was like, really? Because I thought, oh, this is only older gay men are going to relate to this. And then my editor is a young straight guy in his 20s. And when he saw the footage for the first time and like we put a rough cut together, he was like, oh my God, this is my life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I so relate to this. These girls that I go out with, and I meet on an app or something, I don't know if they just want to fuck or if they want to like date, and I don't know what the rules are, and I'm always just like going, I don't know.
So you're right. That's really, really true. There's either, it seems to me like there's either the kind of girls that want to have sex and are okay with having sex right away. Maybe not as fast as gay men, maybe a little more involved, maybe a dinner or a drink before, and then sex and then maybe nothing. And then there's those girls that are like completely on the other side. They want to have a relationship.
But then they're on an app.
Before, almost.
You know what I mean? It's just like, I think it's just the apps and the ease of it all now.
So, so now that we know about your short and that it's in the 71st Annual Cannes Film Festival, what was that like for you? I imagine that you submitted the short to a lot of festivals. You don't know who's going to pick it up and who isn't, right? And I'd like to think that every festival has an LGBT component and that they entertain that well. I know they do that very well here at Cannes, but it is a trip. It is it's a trip to France. And what was that like for you? Were you thrilled?
Yeah, it was, well, because they were one of the first responses I got.
Okay.
So I had started submitting, but it's months after you submit before you start to hear if you're accepted or not from festivals. So I was prepared. I knew the first ones were going to start coming in. I had finished the film, just trusting I'm going to get in festivals and it would happen. But I had actually received the day before a couple no's. And I was kind of bummed. I was like, oh shit. Like, I think is this going to happen? And that was through emails. And then I got this call on a Sunday morning. And I didn't recognize the number and I didn't answer it. But I listened to the message and it was like, hi, this is Monica from American Pavilion. I want to tell you that you got accepted too. I was like, holy shit. So I called her right back, and it actually hit me a lot more than I thought. I'm not one who, gets sentimental about things or whatever, but I hung up and I was like, I kind of cried and I jumped around and I was like, holy fuck.
What was it called, the thing that we went to where we saw your screenings?
It's the Emerging Filmmaker Showcase.
The Emerging Filmmaker Showcase.
Yeah.
Okay. And for the LGBT films.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually...
I'm so glad I went.
I'm so glad I did too. But I was actually the lead actor in a film that was in the same thing in 2015. But I couldn't come. I didn't come with the filmmaker.
To this festival?
To the festival.
Oh, okay.
So it was in the same thing. And so
wow.
It was also a big deal because I was like, it was a festival I really wanted to get into because I was like, well, I really would love my debut as a writer and director to be in the same festival that I actually was in before.
Yeah. And so you've done as an actor some quite notable work and stuff. A few of those projects I think we already talked about.
Right.
But could you just give us a few of the sort of films or TV shows that we've heard of that you've been in? Because you've had a long career.
Yeah, it's been New York and doing a lot of stage and stuff in New York, and then going out to LA and you know, the recent television stuff is Masters of Sex on Showtime, and that was really terrific. I got to work opposite Julianne Nicholson, who was...
Oh, great, yeah.
She's a terrific actress, and just had an amazing day on the set with her. It was very private, a couple conversations. I was a doctor, and she was dying of cancer, and a lot to deal with. And then I was recurring on Aquarius, the David Duchovny series, a couple seasons ago, and just some indie films lately. Mad Men I was on, Frasier a long time ago.
Mad Men is awesome, and
yeah, that was
Frasier's
a great
classic. Yeah, absolutely.
So I've been lucky in that a lot of the shows that I like to watch, that style I've gotten to act on, the kind of grittier, deeper, long drawn out stories.
Would you consider yourself, I mean, was there a point in time where you're like, okay, I'm just going to be open about being an openly gay actor, or et cetera, or whatever?
It was hard, and I still don't even think of myself, like, I don't deny it, but I don't broadcast it either.
Exactly.
I feel like in a lot of ways our industry is still don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
Which is kind of unfortunate, but in the 80s and the early 90s, there were a lot of AIDS plays coming out, and for some reason, the more I tried to kind of be the straight actor, I kept getting cast in gay roles. And I had a mentor who's like, well, as long as you resist it, it's going to persist. Like, and it wasn't until there was finally, like, I did Angels in America in San Francisco, and then I did this play in LA called End of the World Party, which did come to New York eventually, but that was the first time, like, on stage, and I really had to embrace, because I was playing a man whose lover died of AIDS, and there's guys who meet at this house on Fire Island every summer, and I was the one really dealing with a lot of stuff, and I really wanted to honor that, and it was the first time that I really consciously said, you know what, Doug, you got to completely drop the mask, not be kind of halfway saying to the audience, but I'm really straight or something, you know. I mean, it's hard, and it was when I did that I stopped getting cast in gay roles. Because I finally kind of accepted it more in myself.
Yeah.
And I think that I really hadn't until that point. And
it's fascinating how that works.
So now I don't think it's really an issue. No, and I also professionally too, like, I wrote a one-man show about Tennessee Williams, the playwright. Okay. And I've toured the country with it and played, there's a lot of Tennessee Williams festivals, and again, that's being really, really out there. I mean, this is a man who combines both Blanche and Stanley, you know, in his own psyche. Right. And to kind of portray that and live that, that's been really powerful for me. Wow. So, fantastic. Yeah, it's been good that way. Yeah.
Well, you know what, it's been amazing to talk with you and have this conversation. Yeah. And I think it's a conversation a lot of people out there need to see. So I appreciate it very much, and I wish you all the best in the festival.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
I wish you all the success in the world as you continue to do what you love to do and be proud of it. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Is there anything on the horizon we should be watching out for right now?
There's two things in the works, two things that I'm writing and hope to direct. I don't want to act in them. That was enough to... Your debut to actually act in it too is challenging, but I'm proud that I did. But no, there's two. One is a feature length that I'm very excited about that deals, inspired by kind of a pop icon of our time. And another one that deals with this kind of power struggle, the Me Too kind of situation in our country, and about the men who have the power, but then how do they cope with losing it?
Wow,
that's
excellent.
That kind of thing. So,
well, I mean, one thing I love about you is the talented storyteller that you are, is that you have a great ability to tell stories that are relevant to what we're all kind of talking about right now.
Thank you.
And I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Doug.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Excellent. That's all for now, folks. Thanks a lot.